Zara was 21 when she met Deo. A quiet girl with dreams of a love story that would rival the ones she read in novels. She believed in forever, the kind that required effort, loyalty, and forgiveness. And Deo made her believe she had found it. They met during NYSC orientation in Ogun State. He was charming in a laid-back way. Not too loud, not too quiet. He listened. He remembered things. He made her laugh. He made her feel seen. He wasn't rich, but he was ambitious, and that was enough for her. Over the years, Zara invested, emotionally, mentally, and financially. When Deo lost his job, she sent him money to get by. When he said he wanted to start a business, she dipped into her savings. She believed in him, in their dream. They planned to get married. They even spoke about baby names. What she didn't know was that the man she had been building with was building a future, with someone else. It was a Saturday evening when Deo called her, sounding excited. Z, I just got the opportunity to travel to Dubai for a short training with a client. It's for a few weeks, but I'll be back soon. She believed him. She even sent him money for the trip, adding extra so he wouldn't be stranded. He didn't video call her after he landed, claiming network issues. But love is often blind, and Zara was hopeful. Until 3 weeks later, she was scrolling on Instagram and saw a wedding hashtag #DeoWedsNancy, she froze. It couldn't be, she clicked the tag. The first picture that popped up was Deo, in a crisp wine-colored agbada, standing next to a smiling bride. The same Deo who had told her he was in Dubai. Her heart dropped. Zara didn't speak to anyone for 2 days. She didn't eat. Didn't shower. Didn't sleep. She stared at her ceiling, numb, her pillow soaked with tears. Friends tried to call her. She ignored them. When she finally picked up a call from her cousin, Simi, her voice was barely a whisper. He got married, Sim. He married someone else. Simi gasped. What? Zara, are you sure? She laughed bitterly. I saw it on Instagram. I funded his wedding and he didn't even tell me. The betrayal broke her spirit. Everything reminded her of him. The mug he gifted her. Their Spotify playlist. The couch they once cuddled on. She blocked him on every platform. Deleted their chats. Cleared their photos. But the memories lingered. Zara disappeared from everyone for weeks. Her smile, once warm and welcoming, became hollow. Her laughter vanished. Her heart had turned to stone. One night, she stood before her mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, eyes bloodshot, face pale, soul weary. No more, she whispered. Never again. She took out a sheet of paper and wrote. I will never invest my love in someone who hasn't earned it. I will protect my peace. I will focus on building my life. She burned the paper in a bowl, watching the flames eat her pain. Then she slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. From that day on, Zara rebuilt. She enrolled in therapy. Her therapist, Mrs. Fola, was soft-spoken and patient. In their first session, Zara barely spoke. By the fourth, she was crying freely, confronting not just the betrayal but the patterns of abandonment she'd experienced in the past. She began journaling again, writing her truths, her fears, and her dreams. Every morning, she repeated affirmations in the mirror. I am enough. I am worthy. I deserve peace. She cut off toxic friendships. Reorganized her apartment. Gave away the dress she once planned to wear for her engagement. Slowly, she started taking walks in the evening, breathing in the sunset, feeling life stir in her again. She took a skincare formulation course, an idea she had long buried, and began making soaps and scrubs in her kitchen. She posted her progress online. Orders trickled in. Positive feedback kept her going. She reconnected with old friends, laughed again in coffee shops, and for the first time in a long time, smiled at her reflection. Love was a closed chapter. But Zara was beginning to love herself, and that was the first step toward healing. The conference center in Abuja buzzed with energy. Entrepreneurs, investors, and creatives filled the hall with voices full of ambition. Zara stood backstage, reviewing her slides for the branding panel she had been invited to speak on. Her heart beat fast, not from nerves, but from pride. A year ago, she was a shell of herself. Now, she stood as the CEO of Zaya Organics, with over 15,000 followers online and partnerships with 2 retail stores. When it was her turn to speak, she stepped onto the stage with a confident smile. She spoke with fire, about building a brand with soul, telling one's truth through business, and staying authentic in a world obsessed with perfection. Her words drew applause, but more than that, they connected. After her talk, a man approached her near the refreshments table. Tall, clean-cut, with thoughtful eyes that held curiosity and kindness. You were captivating, he said, handing her a glass of water. The only speaker that made me forget to check my phone. Zara chuckled, taking the glass. That's high praise in this generation. I'm Kalu, he said, extending his hand. Zara. There was a pause, a lingering silence that felt like the world holding its breath. Then they laughed, easing the moment. They chatted for a few minutes about skincare, branding, and the conference schedule. He asked for her number, gently, with no pressure, and she gave it, almost out of curiosity. That night, Zara couldn't sleep. Not from excitement, but from confusion. Why did his presence feel safe? Kalu's texts came slowly and respectfully. He never double-texted. When she didn't reply, he didn't guilt her. He would send thoughtful messages, recommendations for books, links to articles on brand strategy, and once, a playlist titled, For Focus Calm. He never flirted. He showed up with presence, not performance. Still, Zara kept her walls high. After a month of chatting, he invited her for lunch. She cancelled twice. On the third invitation, she finally said yes. They met at a quiet cafe in Maitama. The ambience was soft, wooden decor, jazz in the background, clinking cutlery, warm smiles. They talked for 2 hours. Kalu asked questions that made her think, not retreat. He listened like he was reading a book, eager but patient. She mentioned her therapy journey. He didn't judge. I think we all need help untangling, he said. Life is noisy. That evening, as she got into her Uber, she caught herself smiling. A real smile. It was a rainy Friday when Kalu called and asked if she could come over. I made dinner, he said. Just something simple. Come if you're free. She hesitated. Her heart thudded. She almost said no. Instead, she found herself driving through the drizzle, umbrella in hand. His apartment was warm, filled with the scent of jollof rice and grilled chicken. Fairy lights hung loosely on his balcony, casting a golden glow. He had laid a table for two, with actual napkins. As they ate, he told her about losing his dad at 16, the burden of becoming the man of the house, and how he almost dropped out of school. You're strong, she said. He looked at her, eyes steady. So are you. I don't know what you've been through, Zara, but I sense pain. And resilience. She didn't plan to tell him. But the words came. She told him everything, about Deo, the betrayal, the months of depression, the therapy, the vows she made to herself. Her voice trembled. Tears spilled. She paused, ashamed. Kalu reached across the table and gently held her hand. Thank you for trusting me with your truth, he said. I won't break it. Zara didn't fall in love overnight. She tiptoed into it. There were moments she pulled away, moments she didn't reply to texts for days, moments she pushed Kalu away emotionally, but he stayed. Not in a needy way, just steady, respectful, grounded. He became her partner, not just in love, but in business and life. He helped her build a Shopify site for Zaya Organics. He introduced her to a friend who worked at a wellness spa, leading to a major bulk order. He celebrated her wins like they were his own. They had disagreements. She flared up easily. He sometimes forgot to communicate his schedule. But they always talked. Always circled back. Zara found herself opening up to love, not because she needed it, but because she had healed enough to receive it. 3 years after they met, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, they went back to the park where they had their first kiss. He handed her a small white envelope. Inside was a note, real. Not perfect. Us. When she looked up, he was on one knee, holding a ring. I don't want a perfect love, he said. I want a real one. With you. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, yes. The day of her wedding arrived with soft golden sunlight and calm winds. Zara stood in her room, dressed in ivory satin, surrounded by soft laughter, fresh flowers, and a heart full of gratitude. Her mirror, once a place of mourning, now reflected a woman who had walked through fire and come out gold. She held her bouquet, took a deep breath, and stepped out. As she walked down the aisle, her eyes found Kalu's. He was smiling, not just with his lips, but with his whole being. Every step toward him was a step away from pain, and toward a future she never thought she deserved. She stood before him, hands trembling but heart steady. And in that moment, Zara whispered to herself. Love didn't betray me. A man did. But love, it found me again.
Please subscribe to our channel to show your support. Like, comment, and share with your loved ones.